Mufti Sahib, distinguished elders, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a very strange coalition Sir Robin has.
Yes.
Even some extremists are evidently supporting him. This is the beginning of the Newham revolution. This is the beginning of the Newham spirit. It's a peaceful and democratic revolution, but it will not stop until Sir Robin Wales is out and the markers is built. And we can do that. You see, of the many wise things that Mufti Sahib said in the two addresses that he made at this meeting this evening, the most significant was what he said and how you responded about taking the fear of Sir Robin Wales out of your hearts. Because that's all that keeps him in the absolute power that he has enjoyed these many years past. The fear that he has the power. Let me begin by congratulating the owners of this venue, the Empire. Wallahi, I never thought I would salute the Empire. When I was a kid, I came home and told my Irish grandfather that the teacher had said that Britain had an empire so vast that upon it the sun never set. My grandfather answered, that's because God would never trust the British in the dark. But this is an empire. This is an empire that we can trust because they have been tried and tested. I don't know if it's public knowledge, but it's about to be public knowledge. Labour councillors came here in the last 72 hours and tried to bully the owners of this venue into cancelling this meeting, as they managed to bully the owners of two previous venues into cancelling our meeting. Is this some kind of police state? No. Well, that's the problem, you see. Sir Robin Wales thinks it is.
Could be Germany.
You see, if you have power, it corrupts. And as Lord Acton said, all power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
And New Labour has absolute power in this borough, and it has corrupted them absolutely. And they think that they can corrupt everybody else and terrify everybody else. And those days, Sir Robin, are gone. When I hear some of the things that have been said tonight, plans to deport thousands of people from Newham to the north, to Stoke.
He's a racist.
Have you seen Stoke? Do you know how cold it is in Stoke? Do you know how far away from London it is in Stoke? Anybody here want to go live in Stoke? We're staying here in East London and in the London borough of Newham.
Yes.
That's the truth of it. This is not North Korea, Sir Robin. This is not Pyongyang, and you are not Kim Il-sung. In fact, the political leadership in North Korea has a bit more courage than the political leadership in Newham. That's the truth. The political leaders on this council, 60 councillors 60 Labour accept their orders from one man. One man rule wouldn't be acceptable even if that one man was a paragon of virtue and brilliance. And it's certainly not acceptable when it's little Robin Wales. That's the truth. His number's up, he's unmasked, and we intend to run him out of town. He can go and live in Stoke if he likes. They say they don't want any more mosques. They don't want any more churches, especially black churches where they do a lot of singing and where they're joyful. He hasn't said it, but presumably he doesn't want any more synagogues, doesn't want any more gurdwaras, doesn't want any more temples. Well, I'll tell you this, until the last casino and the last betting shop and the last lap dancing club and the last dodgy massage parlour has become a church, a mosque, a synagogue, a temple, a gurdwara, we will not have too many. We will not have too many. What does he mean he doesn't want a big mosque? What's wrong with a big mosque? It's only big because there's a lot of people want to worship there. What could conceivably be wrong with people in Newham worshipping God? What could conceivably be wrong with that? I heard talk earlier on of people, the Carpenter Estate people have been promised the right of return. What is this, Palestine? Is this some big reservation? Are you all natives? Is this an Indian reservation with General Custer in charge, telling you who's to go and who can stay and who will have the right of return and how you can pray and where you can pray? I'll tell you what, if he doesn't build the mosque, then the town hall will need to become the mosque. We'll all need to go into the town hall. That would be a big mosque. That would be a big mosque. That would be a mega mosque. Sir Robin, I want to echo what Mufti Saab earlier said. And if it's not giving away a secret, I have personally already said it to Mr. Miliband, the Labour leader. If you want to win the next general election, and if you want to hold on to power in Newham, you better put Robin Wales in the House of Lords, get him out of the way, and get somebody else in here as the mayor of this great borough. Because if you don't, we will make it an issue the length and breadth of this land. And if you don't, we'll fight New Labour here in Newham and we'll defeat them. We'll beat them to the mayor's position. Do you have to be Scottish to be the mayor of Newham? Oh, that's a pity. Because you shouldn't judge all Scots by Robin Wales. You've seen the film Braveheart, huh? There's two kinds of Scots. There's the collaborators and the betrayers who betrayed the Braveheart, and there's the Braveheart himself. And we stand for the Braveheart. There's two kinds of Scotsmen in Labour history. One of them was a Scotsman with a beard who became the very first ever elected representative of working people, the very first Labour Member of Parliament here in East Ham, called James Keir Hardie. That's our kind of Scotsman. And there's another clown, scholars will know, called James Ramsay MacDonald, the first Labour Prime Minister who betrayed the Labour Party, who became a Conservative, formed a national government and condemned millions of people in this country to a decade of mass poverty and unemployment in the Great Depression of the 1930s. He can be Ramsay MacDonald if he likes. We stand in the tradition of Keir Harvey, and we'll resurrect that tradition here in East Ham and in West Ham if Ed Miliband doesn't tell Wales that his time is up. We are determined upon this. We cannot accept a borough of this size and importance being treated with such contempt and such disdain in the way that Robin Wales is treating you. I am old enough to remember when this Marcus project began, when it was a twinkle in the eye of some good friends of mine. And all this work, all this expenditure, the hiring of all these engineers and architects and planning consultants, all the effort that the people put in just to build a mosque has been demolished, a bit like the Israeli tanks demolish the Palestinian villages and homes. The hopes and dreams of so many people have been demolished. And for what? I'll tell you, for what? He has a vision of Newham which doesn't include you. It doesn't include you. You see, their plan is for the city and Canary Wharf to extend eastwards. And a big corridor, as Yvonne Ridley put it, a big corridor of affluence and wealth, speeding into the city, speeding into the city airport, coming and going to Brussels and Bonn and Berlin and so on. That's the future that they have in mind. And that's good. As Mufti Saab said, we welcome the Olympics. And all that talk about the Olympic legacy in the independent newspaper that Sister Yvonne just showed me, there's an item about this ethnic cleansing driving you up to Stoke-on-Trent. And what's the reason that Robin Wales gives? He says, after the Olympic Games, we can no longer afford to keep poor people in private rented accommodation in Newham. So there you have it. That's the Olympic legacy. The Olympic legacy they never stop talking about. Your Olympic legacy is that you'll be driven out of this borough unless you can afford the luxury flats and the private developments that they have in mind. And we are going to fight it. Maybe we'll win, maybe we'll lose. You can't guarantee you're going to win when you stand up and fight, but you can guarantee that you'll lose when you run away. And we are not for running away. This is going to be the mother of all battles here in Newham. A democratic, peaceful, political battle. And I got to thinking, you know, when Yvonne Ridley was speaking, and knowing her nobility of character as I do, having travelled with her in Iraq and Palestine under fire to the site of massacres, having seen her at work trying to free prisoners from Guantanamo Bay and from American dungeons and Pakistani dungeons for that matter, having seen her fight for the caged prisoners here, I got to thinking, Wouldn't Yvonne Ridley be a better MP for Newham than the one that we've got here now? I want you to think of that. And I have one or two ideas about who'd be a better mayor than Robin Wales. But we'll save that maybe for another day. One thing is for sure. If they think they can take you for granted, they will. Why would anyone respect you if you evidently don't respect yourself? If you're prepared to kiss the hand that slaps you, why should he stop slapping you? If you're prepared to go on voting for people who have betrayed you, why would they stop betraying you? It's not rocket science. It's really simple. And reference was made to Ona Queen. Now there's an example. Ona King is now in the House of Lords. Lady King. It's an unusual handle. She's now in the House of Lords. Well, what, Ed? Put Robin Wales in the House of Lords. Get rid of him. We don't want him here anymore in Europe. But the reason Lady King is in the House of Lords is because I and my comrades here from Tower Hamlets got her voted out. That's how. And I'll tell you something.
Can you take Robin Wales to the House of Lords?
I'm ready to support. He's already a sir. Is there a Lady Wales? Is there not a Mrs.? Is there a Lady Wales? Well, him and his wife anyway can go to the House of Lords and they can wear that nice red robe with the fur collar and so on. It's not a bad retirement home, I understand. Just I'm not quite ready to retire myself.
Maybe Robin Wales can go to North Korea.
The North Koreans have already filled that post. They've already got a dictator. They don't need a new dictator. But the point I'm trying to make is this. Ona King made a crude and ultimately fatal mistake. She thought that the poor people in Tower Hamlets, poor white working class people, poor black people, poor Asian people, tens of thousands of Muslim people, she thought that they had no choice but to vote for her. So when Tony Blair asked her to support a war which killed 1 million people in Iraq, which shattered Iraq into dozens of pieces, which sent millions of Iraqis fleeing overseas as refugees, when Mr. Blair asked her to support that war, to vote for that war, to go on the television and speak for that war, she thought that she could do so because her voters, although against it, would have no choice at the election but to vote for her. And Respect came along and said to people, you don't have to accept this kind of contempt. You can vote for principles. You can vote for real Labour. You can vote for George Galloway. And they did in their thousands. And that's why she is history. And that's what we have to do here. That's exactly what we have to do here. Otherwise, they'll take you for granted forever. Instead of refusing to allow you to build new mosques, before long they'll be shutting down mosques that you already have. Why wouldn't they? They realized they got away with it. They mounted the most provocative act that it's possible to imagine a democratic political leader elected by the people to mount. Tens of thousands of people want a mosque in your borough, so you tell them to go and get lost. If they get away with that, then they can get away with anything. Now I want to close by echoing some of the points that were made by others. It's not that we're against labor as an idea, you see. We consider ourselves to be labor. I would never ask anybody to change their moral look at how society should be governed. People who backed labor all of these decades, I want them to go on believing these things. I want them to go on voting for these things. But Robin Wales is not these things. Labour in Newham today has nothing to do with labour. 60% of the people in this borough are living in poverty. Our children are being educated in substandard schools. Our people are unemployed in huge numbers. Our young people falling prey to idleness. And the devil, of course, has work for idle hands. And we can see it all around us. The mass unemployment and poverty in this borough ought to be being gathered together in a collective cry of anger and rage, and we should be laying siege to Westminster, laying siege to Whitehall, to demand jobs and homes and a future for the people of this borough. But that's not New Labour's way. We have a Labour Party. People say I like to go on about the war. I'll go on about the murder of 1 million people in Iraq until Tony Blair is in handcuffs in the Hague, in the court, in front of the war crimes tribunal. I'll never, ever, as long as God gives me breath, I will never let them forget that crime that they committed. They are dripping in the blood of the Iraqis, the Afghans, the Lebanese, the Palestinians, all of whom they collaborated against or invaded and occupied. Nowadays, they call it a mission. Labour doesn't describe the Afghan war anymore as a war. They call it a mission, as if those people out there with their Apache helicopters and Hellfire missiles and drones and bombs and rockets and bullets and guns were missionaries. It's not a mission to go to somebody else's country and kill them. No. It's not a mission, it's a war. It's an occupation. And we demand its end. It's not a mission to support Israel in every crime it commits. It's an act of war against the Palestinian people and those who stand with them. Labour has betrayed everything that Keir Hardie stood for. Labour became the opposite of Labour. They even changed their name from Labour to New Labour, which became non-Labour and which ended up anti-Labour. So we are here raising again the flag of real Labour. That's what we believe in. We're not communists or Marxists or Leninists or any other ist. We just want a fair deal for working people. We just want a fair deal for our pensioners. We can't even keep our pensioners warm in this country, but we've got money to go overseas around the world setting fire to other people's countries. We're now invading Mali. None of the MPs that are supporting it even know where Mali is. Show them a map of Africa, they don't know where it is, but they're not ready to send their own sons to get killed in Mali, but they're ready to send your son and your son if through unemployment and poverty they end up in the armed forces. I'll tell you why they've invaded Mali: to steal its gold and its uranium and its oil and its gas That's why they have invaded Mali. And Labour is supporting it. I was on with Keith Baz on Any Questions 2 Fridays ago on Radio 4. You can listen to it on YouTube. Mr. Baz told us in forthright terms that Labour is 4 square behind David Cameron in invading and occupying Mali. He said that the Islamists there were stealing things from people. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But they're not going to steal as much as France and England are going to steal. That's for sure. That's for sure. We seem to be very occupied by the fact that some people got their hand chopped off in Mali. But Britain's best friend in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, chops people's hands off and heads off every Friday afternoon, but it doesn't stop us selling them weapons and kissing their backsides in order to get contracts and to make money. These hypocrites who invent one Muslim demon after another, mad dogs. In my lifetime, President Nasser of Egypt was the mad dog of Cairo. Then there was the mad dog Gaddafi. He was a mad dog, remember Gaddafi? Yes. Until Blair kissed him in the tent and Britain started sending his opponents back to be tortured in Libya. Before we turned on him and he became a mad dog again. Arafat was a mad dog, Saddam Hussein a mad dog, Bashar al-Assad a mad dog, though only 7 years ago he was riding up the Nile in a carriage with Her Majesty the Queen as an official guest of this country. One Muslim mad dog after another. And the unkindest cut of all about this mosque, it was put to me by, I'm sorry to single her out, the woman from the Newham misrecorder, false recorder. The one that claimed only 50 people came to our meeting on the 29th of December when it was standing room only in a big hall in which 3 or 4 times that number had gathered. The Newham recorder that will record this meeting as a small gathering of malcontents on its website tonight and its newspaper whenever it comes out.
What is our number tonight?
I don't know what she's going to say. What do you think? 50? Do we make 50 tonight? Upstairs and downstairs? Maybe. A few dozen, they'll say. How did I go on to that? I've lost my place. The Newham recorder. She put to me on the 29th of December that the people running this proposed mosque, the Markaz, were Islamic extremists. Another Muslim demon to frighten the horses. Oh, we can't have Islamic extremists in Newham. As it happens, anybody who knows anything about Islam knows that the Tablighi and the people behind this mosque are the least political, least militant, least extreme Muslims that you're going to find anywhere. But I'll tell you something. If you want to make Muslims extreme, if you want to make Muslims furious with rage, then refuse them the right to build a mosque on their own land that they sweated to buy and pay for. That's the truth. We have no intention of asking anyone to give their blood. We have no intention of asking anyone to break a window or drop a piece of paper in the street. We've got no intention of asking anyone to block the traffic or do anything wrong at all. We're asking people to do something much simpler than that. In May of 2014, We want them in their tens, scores of thousands to come out and put an X on a piece of paper to kick out Robin Wills and kick out the new Labour councillors who make this power possible. He may once have had a vision and ideals. He may once have wanted the best. But nobody should be in power for as long as him. Nobody should be in office for as long as him. Nobody should have the power that he has. And when you've got a council chamber of yes men, in fact he doesn't even ask them to say yes. He just assumes yes. He doesn't even let them put their hands up. He puts their hands up for them. He's got a machine that he winds and their hands go up. This is not democracy. This is not what council should be like. Even in Pyongyang, I dare say, the party doesn't have every single seat on the council. This is unhealthy. It's unhealthy for you. I have nothing to gain from this. I could be watching Manchester United right now. It was 1-1 just before I took this stage. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. I'm here to say to you, this cannot be right. You deserve better than this. I dare say some of the 60 might have wanted to be here tonight. I sent them a message, apparently. Actually, I didn't, but the word is out that I sent a text to every Labour councillor in Newham inviting them to this meeting. Maybe somebody did it on my behalf. Certainly, Sir Robin believes that I did, because this afternoon he issued an instruction to every councillor that any of them who came to this meeting tonight would immediately have the Labour whip withdrawn and they'd be expelled from the party just like I was. I'll tell you what, that sounds like he's scared to me. It sounds like he's afraid of me. It sounds like he's afraid of this challenge. I'll tell you what, Sir Robin, I quite like a challenge. I'm not a pacifist, you know. I'll go 15 rounds with anyone. I'll go 15 rounds with you, Robin, anytime. So don't challenge me. Don't challenge me. We have every right to be here. We have every right to meet here. This venue has every right to give us this venue. We'll meet anywhere, everywhere in this borough, and you will never stop us. You will never stop us. Yeah, if necessary. There's always the town hall. When we're finished praying there, we can have a meeting there. You will never stop us this way. The only way to stop us, it's very simple. I give him this promise. Please, Miss Newham Recorder, write this down carefully. I give him this promise. This is a sincere promise from the heart. If you announce that you are standing down as the dictator of Newham at the next election, and if you give the mosque permission to be built, I will never step foot in anger in Newham again. That's a promise. If on the other hand, you do not announce your resignation, and you do not allow the mosque to be built, I'm going to follow you every step of the way right up until polling day in 2014. And I'll tell you what, I've whipped better than you in New Labour, Sir Robin. You better not pick a fight with me, because I'm your match and more. And we'll defeat you if you don't stand up.
was a very powerful, conclusive remark by John Galloway that he will never put his foot here again in Newham.